Mate, are you stuck in your business? Well, you're in luck. I'm Grant Dowsett and I went from drowning in booze to ocean views, and now I uncover the other founders' blind spots in just 3 days that makes them unstoppable. Today's topic, in my opinion, is probably the most misunderstood concept of all leadership. And it starts with a simple question. What makes someone generally the most valuable person in the room? It's not their title, experience, track record, sales figures, or how long they've been in the game. The most valuable person in the room is the person who creates an atmosphere in which everyone around them feels at ease and appreciated, where people actually want to give their best, a place where the best ideas surface because people feel safe enough to offer them. That's the leader, not the boss, the leader. I like the way Larry Wilson put it. A leader is a person who has people following them because they want to, not because they have to, or because of their position in the org chart, or just for the paycheck, or even the threat of terrible consequences if they don't comply with his orders, but because they generally want to follow that person. And here's what I've noticed in over a decade of coaching founders, directors, CEOs. The men who have people following them are the genuine enthusiasm, are almost never the loudest in the room, the most aggressive, or the ones with the most dominant personality. They're the ones with the clearest vision and a calm certainty. There's something internally anchored about them that doesn't seem to fade based on what the market is doing or whoever pushed back too hard in the last meeting. That's what this lesson's really about. The leader is being led from within. Let me explain what I mean by that and why it matters so much practically. The truly effective leader is frequently working with a creative idea that points in a direction where there's not yet one speck of physical evidence to confirm they're going the right way. The most loyal people might be questioning it. The market's probably not showing it yet. The numbers might not support it yet. However, in light of all that, the leader remains calm. They don't waver. They hold the vision with total confidence, not because they're somehow deluded or pig-headed, but because they have something that runs far deeper than visible evidence, a knowing, internally calibrated sense of direction that external conditions can't shake. The neuroscience backs this up in a way I find quite compelling. When you hold a clearly defined, emotionally powered vision consistently, when you keep impressing that picture on your subconscious mind, your reticular activating system, your brain's filtering network, starts scanning your environment for evidence that supports that direction. Connections you wouldn't have noticed before now appear highly relevant. Conversations you previously dismissed suddenly gain importance. The right people start showing up. Opportunities start to surface. It's not magic, it's your RAS being reprogrammed by a clear signal it then locks onto. The leader seems to see what others walk past because their brain is genuinely tuned to a different frequency. Most people wait for evidence before they commit to a direction. The genuine leader commits, then creates the evidence. Now, here's something that doesn't get said often enough about effective leadership. Being a strong originator, generating the vision, driving the direction is only half of it. The other half is being genuinely subjective when the situation calls for it. What does that mean? It means being capable of stepping fully inside someone else's idea, not just tolerating it, not just nodding at it, but actually carrying it through to completion as if it were your own. And not just any idea, the ideas that move everyone closer to the vision. The effective leader knows when to be the originator and when to be the executor of someone else's assessment. And then they find that an idea from one of their people is genuinely superior to their own. They drop their own idea immediately, then adopt a better idea and run with it completely, and give the other person full public credit without hesitation, which happens less than you'd think, by the way. That kind of leadership requires something that most men never really develop. It requires the absence of ego in the competitive sense. An effective leader doesn't want or need to compete because they create, and the two things are very different. I've coached men who were spending the majority of their available mental, emotional energy fighting ghosts, watching what competitors were doing, managing public perceptions, defending their position, making sure they got credit for stuff that never mattered in the first place. And underneath all of it, to be harshly honest about what I was seeing, was a deep uncertainty about their own direction, knowingly or not, with a compass that wasn't fully calibrated internally, and so the ego was working overtime to kill the gap with external validation when the internal compass gets sorted out, the vision gets clear. When the identity gets anchored from the inside, all that ghost chasing energy stops being wasted, because you don't need to compete when you're fully committed to only creating. The ego quiets, and what replaces it is something much more useful. I know this from my own experience. For 14 years, I built and ran a manufacturing business. I was leading a team, managing operations, dealing with clients, and then government legislation changed in a way that affected the entire sector my company supplied to. Overnight, what I'd spent 14 years building was wiped out. Just like the dinosaurs, extinct. It was John Brumby, straight after he'd been handballed the leadership by Brax, who did it, by the way, for those old enough to remember who they are. Not that I'm bitter at all, can you tell? No, really, I'm over it, I promise. And I discovered very quickly that I had been leading outwardly the whole time and almost never inward. I had no internal anchor or vision that existed independent of the business. When the business went, I went with it. My decisions became reactive, my thinking became chaotic, to say the least. I started drinking every day to cope, I thought, which tells you everything about how little I understood about leading myself at the time. I had been the most valuable person to other people for 14 years, and I was the last person I'd learned to lead. The turning point, and this is the bit that matters, wasn't when I first found a coach. That came later. The real turning point was when I genuinely accepted I was responsible for where I was. Not the legislation, not the economy, or the bank that called in the debt. Me, my thinking, my internal paradigms, my complete failure to lead myself with anything with the intention I tried to apply to leading others. Confronting to admit, yes, but it's also the most liberating thing in the world, because if your thinking created the situation you're in, your thinking can create a completely different one for you. There's one more thing from this discussion that I want to leave with you, and it might be the most practical thing I've give you today. Before you can lead others at the highest level, you have to be a genuine follower. You have to understand from the inside what it feels to trust someone's direction enough to give your best effort toward it. The person who has never learnt to be an intelligent follower is never going to become a truly effective leader, because the best leaders know exactly what it takes to earn that kind of trust from their people, because they've felt it themselves. Develop in your own mind a deep belief in and respect for someone ahead of you. Study them, learn from them, and become the best follower you're capable of being. That awareness is what builds the understanding of how to earn it from others. And then you hold your vision, whatever it takes. Change the plan as many times as you need to, read the market, adjust the strategy, change the approach completely if you need to, but never ever lower your goal. Leaders know where they're going. They don't always know exactly how they'll get there, but they're 100% sure they'll get there somehow. And that certainty, that internal unshakable certainty, is what makes everyone around them want to follow, starting with leading yourself first. I'll see you on the next one. Episode 11 of my Visioneering series. If you want to find out how you can turn your life and business around in only 3 days, comment REBOOT to learn more, or you can take my free Dream Life diagnostic and or apply to see if you qualify for a Visioneering reboot with me to uncover the bottleneck that's actually been keeping you stuck, and together we'll make you unstoppable. Links are in the description. Bye for now from Grant. I literally program you for success. Douse it.